What's going on, everybody? It's Professor Gnome, and today we're going to be continuing our little meta series over the next couple days, just kind of showing off some of the best decks in the game and kind of more meta relevant decks, just so that way, while the season's winding down to an end, everybody has a deck that they can look into and enjoy in order to climb that like last tier they're looking to get to, whether that's Arceus, Masters, Great Ball, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Whatever your like goal is, I want to try to help you achieve that, and by kind of just giving you different deck options or whatever the best meta call for you is. So today we're going to be looking at Lost Zone, and this list is the winning list from NAIC. I decided to go with this list rather than one that I built, just because if there's a championship list out there, more likely than not, I probably couldn't have outbuilt this list. So obviously there's alterations and changes that you can make that may fit your local or your tournament scene a little bit better, but for generalist lists for online, I feel like this is a phenomenal list for obvious reasons. One of the main things that we're going to be looking to do for anyone who hasn't played Lost Zone or doesn't really understand the deck is that we're looking to put cards within our Lost Zone, and the way that we're going to do that is by cycling Comfey, since what it allows us to do is use the flower selecting ability, where we can look at the top two cards of our deck, put one in the Lost Zone, and put one into our hand. So we get a pretty good draw engine and also speed up our deck. We get to use Cramorant as an attacker, since if we have 4 cards in our Lost Zone, then we ignore the energy cost, so we can just get free attacks off with the Cramorant in the early game. Then in the late game, what we're looking to do is utilize Sableye's Lost Mine, where if we have 10 cards in our Lost Zone, we can put 12 damage counters on our opponent any way we like. So we can either take low HP knockouts or kind of spread damage around and pick up multiple KOs. And then one of the other benefits of Lost Zone is that it uses the card Mirage Gate, where what that does is that if we have 7 cards in our Lost Zone, then we can search 2 energy cards of different types and attach them to our Pokemon in any way we like. This is important because it allows us to power up different cards that we need for whatever situation. So we run the Water Energy for Greninja, we run the Psychic Energy for Sableye, and we also run the Electric Energy for Iron Hands. So as long as we have 7 cards in our Lost Zone, we can either throw energy onto Iron Hands and start picking up knockouts here. We can utilize Iron Thorns in... What Iron Thorns is really good for is opposing Lost Zone matchups, or Lugia it can also be really good in. And then we also have Ursaluna is kind of a late game power attacker to help close out games. So that's kind of how the deck's going to function. Our supporter line is utilizing predominantly Colress Experiment, since it allows us to put 3 cards into our hand, put 2 into the Lost Zone off the top 5, and so that just helps speed up our Lost Zone pile a little bit faster. We also have Roxanne for the late game as well, and then we also have a copy of Boss, since we're going to want that as well, just to be able to pick things up, make it a little bit easier to get KOs with our Iron Hands when we need to. And we also, what's unique to this deck is we run 4 copies of Switch and 4 copies of Switch Cart. That's really because we run all basics, so we may as well utilize the Switch Cart. We also want to be able to rotate our Comfeys around, since the main goal of this deck is to get as many cards in your Lost Zone pile as possible to really power up your deck very quickly. So yeah, that's going to be the overview of the list, kind of a general breakdown. The main tips I'll go over more in the actual breakdown of like in-game, but be very careful managing your energy. You only run 3, 3, and 2. So you got to be careful making sure you don't accidentally put too many of them in the Lost Zone that you can't get back out. But yeah, that's going to be the list, guys. Definitely let me know what you think, and definitely let me know if you guys are playing Lost Zone. There's a ton of variations of Lost Zone that you can play. It's super diverse. But what I will say, because I know not everybody makes it too far into the gameplays, if you are looking to play this deck, understand that there is a learning curve to it, and it's probably one of the more complicated meta decks to play. It's like definitely a little bit harder. So it's going to take you time to learn, and that's totally okay. It's an extremely rewarding deck once you're able to learn it, but it takes a lot of time to master it and know what all the right choices are, because it's a lot of decision making. So if you're having a hard time with the deck, just kind of stick it out. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's definitely one of the harder decks to learn in the game, and definitely one of the hardest ones to master. So if it's taking you time to kind of figure out the deck and get used to it, that's totally okay. Don't beat yourself up. Stick with it. It's a really interesting and fun deck. And yeah, so that would be like my little tidbit. But anyway, if you guys like the list and all that kind of stuff, and like the video and breakdown, all that, whatever, If you like it, like the video, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If you don't, I apologize, and, you know, I hope I do better on the next one. Feel free to dislike the video, all that kind of stuff. You know, you're entitled to all of your opinions. So dislike it if you dislike it, like it if you do like it, subscribe if you're interested in more. And as for that, pretty much all my announcements are over. The only thing left that I'll say is in the description down below, there will be the deck list for this video, a link to our next community tournament, and a link to the community Discord. So all of that is available. If any of that is of interest to you, feel free to check it out. And I will see you guys all in game 1 in a moment. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 1, and our opponent's going to be going first. We won the coin flip and opted to go second, though we are going to mulligan everything away here. One thing to know when playing Lost Zone, or if you're trying to get into the deck, that going first is almost never optimal. You want to be going second almost every opportunity possible, since not only do you want to be able to utilize your Comfeys, but really the most important part is being able to use your Colress experiments, since that's going to become like a huge part of your deck. Like, being able to get that to work. So as long as we can get into, like, any switch, preferably 2, but as long as we can get, like, any of them, we're going to be able to Nest Ball, get Cramorant out. Why that's important is that we're going to be able to put enough damage down onto the Teal Mask that if we bring in our Iron Hands later, we have a target that we can take 3 prize cards off of at any time. We're also against Sinestro. It's kind of an interesting deck. It was better than I thought it was going to be, but I haven't really played it much since, like, testing it out and learning it for the previous video. They go Earthen Vessel. Energy onto the teacup. Weird that they went with this, like, after making, Poltegeist. So, what we'll do is flower selecting. We'll grab the Super Rod. Actually, we'll get rid of it. We already have a Colress experiment in hand, but this way we always have them. So we get 1 switch. We are getting rid of 1 energy, but that's okay. What we can do is PokéStop here. We'll spin. We found ourselves a Super Rod. And so what we'll do here is we'll go Switch Cart, bring our Comfey in, flower selecting, get ourselves the Mirage Gate. We don't need the Pokégear because we have all the supporters that we could even use right in our hand already. And then from here, what we're going to do is go Nest Ball, bring out our Cram, and then we can use this energy to retreat, bring in Cramorant, and then we'll hold off for right now on using the Super Rod, since we're going to be able to what we want to be able to do on our next turn is, realistically, they're probably going to retreat this out. We know they have the evolution. They're going to bring it in, knock out Cramorant. After that, we bring Comfey back in. We can Super Rod the Cramorant and our energies back into the deck. We can then Colress experiment, look for some pieces, and go from there. If we get... Because what we have to do from this point... Why didn't they evolve? Also, they had so many energy in hand, but I still don't get why they didn't evolve. It was definitely better to research there, but that Gardenia's would have went crazy. Also, this is why I don't like Gardenias. Like, at best there, he drew 2 cards and got to attach 2 energies. That's like that card at its best value just doesn't do enough. It's like, even in a situation where your hand was stacked with energies, it's worth more to just discard it. They got rid of the Kieran. I mean, that's fair. They probably won't need it very often. I love this switch, like the classic switch. Alright, so they're doing the exact same play that we assumed they would anyway, but I just don't get why they didn't do it earlier. I think it's weird they gave that up. But we can bring in our Comfey. We have a water energy. We'll go flower selecting. We'll take the electric energy to hand. Since we already have a PokéStop, we don't really need it. What we can do is we'll get rid of the electric energy. Draw ourselves some more cards. I would love to discard this. We'll go Colress here. Grab this, and we will grab the water energy. I really don't love having all the water energy in hand. We'll grab ourselves the Comfey. What I want to do first is PokéStop. Alright. So we can Super Rod. Put these back in. The play I wanted to make, but unfortunately we ended up drawing into all three of our water energy, was being able to Mirage Gate to the Greninja, switch in, and knock out the Kricketot and the Sinestcha. But unfortunately, because of drawing into all of our water energy, we couldn't make the play. So, a little bit unfortunate, not what we would have wanted. The only thing that we can really do in order to attempt to get that play to work is, like, we go flower selecting here. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. I was hoping for, like, a way to discard these potentially, but it's fine. What we can do is attach, retreat, bring back in Cram, attack and knock out the Sinestcha. Take our prize card, which is another PokéStop. And then from here, we're just going to look to find a new Super Rod. We can also, because if they knock this out and we get Super Rod again, we can discard one of the water energies, Super Rod back in the Cram, the water, and the electric energy. Look for a Greninja play all over again. Or we could potentially find Iron Hands and knock this out. All just kind of depends on how our play goes. They bring out the EX. They're probably going to Prime Catcher the Greninja, which they do. They get rid of our PokéStop, but again, that's not really that big of a deal. They grab themselves the Kricketot. We can always boss that up and knock that out, which we're going to want to do because it gets Teal Mask out of... Oh, okay, that's actually pretty cool. The fact that they knocked out Cramorant there is actually not that bad for us because, again, if we get into the Super Rod, which we do... Hype. So we can concealed cards, get ourselves some options. We go Super Rod, we go Water Energy, Cramorant, Electric Energy. Then what we can do from here is go PokéStop. Do I want to... We'll Colress first, though it's a risk. We'll take Ursaluna, Cram. I think we take the Iron Bundle here. Because if I Iron Bundle, what comes into the active? So I'll play this down. I'm curious to know what he's like, what they're gonna bring into the active. Alright. That's not bad for us. I'm going Buddy Poffin here, not to use it, but to see what else is in my deck. I don't have access to Iron Hands. I'm gonna need to get that out of the prizes. But I can Mirage Gate, and I will have access to Bloodmoon Ursaluna. So what we'll do here is we'll play down the Cram. We can go Gate for 1 and 1. Attach them to our Greninja. Remember that in order to use Mirage Gate, you need 7 in the Lost Zone pile. We currently have 10. Then I can discard, or I can place down the last water energy. And the question is, do I, like, where do I want to allocate this damage to? And I think I want to just put it onto this. I think that's right. So we can Moonlight Shuriken here. Drop the 90 damage to KO the Kricketot, and then 90 damage. We'll get rid of these, since I can Super Rod them back in, and if I do have access to Mirage Gate to do it one more time. There's the Heavy Ball. That's pretty big, because it allows me to get my Iron Hands out, Mirage Gate to it, and, like, Heavy Ball. I just have to get some energies back into my deck. But this is also weak enough that I can bring in, like, Ursaluna and knock it out, so I'm not too worried. They get a Super Rod. But the other thing, too, is that they used Rebrew way too early. So now I'm, like, really not worried about that at all. There's the Teal Mask. They'll be able to draw themselves one more. They have to retreat. They go Boss's Orders, bring in Cram. So they're going to be able to knock out Cram and heal 30. That's slightly annoying. What is this at? 180? Alright. So we'll bring in our Comfey. We do have double Mirage Gate. We'll go grab ourselves the Iron Hands. Wow, there's all our Switch cards. What we'll actually do here, so we'll go Flower Selecting. Grab ourselves the energy. We can go Colress Experiment. We get this, this, and this. We already have... Yeah, we already have double Mirage Gate. So at this point, I'm just going to take the Switch Cart. Get all my Switch cards enabled. I can go Ursaluna here. I only need 2 energies. So I can Mirage Gate here for 1. Obviously, I would like more, but we'll make this work. I can attach here. And then what I can do is switch. Bring in my Ursaluna. Attack. Get the KO. Grab myself 2 more Switch cards, since we know that's pretty much my entire prize pool. And then, since I have 2 Switch options, if my Ursaluna doesn't get KO'd here, which it's highly likely that it doesn't, what I'll be able to do is just switch, like just rotate around, and pull back up this Teal Mask and knock it out, or I can bring up this other Teal Mask. And they shouldn't be able to do 260 to me. We'll see what happens. We'll see. How many super rods did I use? 1, 2, and then 1 is in... Oh, the other 2. So I'm out of super rods, which is a really important note. Oh, they'd have enough damage with Rebro, I'm pretty sure. But they don't have one in their deck, right? Because they only run 1. There's 1, 2. There's their EX. Yeah, this is not going to do enough. Yeah, only 180. If they had gotten themselves into... So what we can do is just Comfey, heal ourselves a little bit. We'll flower selecting. We do have the Roxanne. Not that we really need it, but it would have been nice in a situation like, let's say we needed, like, let's say we were going to deck out here. Like, we couldn't get the KO this turn. We would have the ability to Roxanne just to kind of, like, give us one more turn. But we don't need to do that, because we can Bloodmoon and take the last KO. So, not the most optimal, but we made it work. And that's going to be game number 1. So, game number 1 down, and we'll jump into game number 2 in a moment. And I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, welcome to game number 2. Our opponent's going to be going first. We open some Comfeys and some Switch cards, so that's pretty good. Obviously, we're always hoping for a Colress, but we'll work with what we get. We do have access to the Nest Ball and an Energy, so we can go Greninja if we like, but depending on our setup, obviously, being able to get ourselves into the Cram to start getting some really damage off is always fun. We see a Trekking Shoe and a Mew, so are they playing the Darkrai? Yeah, I think they're going to be playing the Darkrai, Roaring Moon deck. I couldn't remember what the name of this card was. The Darkrai Roaring Moon deck's actually really cool. I might cover that in the future. So I think it's a really interesting list. But I'm surprised they chose to go first, because they actually won the coin flip this time. We did not win the coin flip, they just opted to go first themselves. And I feel like this deck would benefit so hard from going second. But we will flower selecting to start our turn. We get another Nest Ball. We'll take that, I guess. We can throw down the PokéStop. We'll go with the Switch. Bring in our Comfey. Flower selecting. Get one more Comfey. Then here's what we'll do. We'll go PokéStop. We'll go Nest Ball 1. for Greninja. We'll concealed cards. Get ourselves 2 more. There's another switch. We can switch. Get Comfey. Grab ourselves the Mirage Gate for now. Then we'll PokéStop. We don't really get anything that we wanted. What we'll do is we'll Nest Ball again. We don't have any Comfeys available to us, which is what we would have wanted, which means one's prized. So we'll grab the Cram out, but unfortunately we just can't use it yet. So we're going to have to sack one of our little fairy rings. There's an argument that we should have grabbed the Pokégear in order to kind of give ourselves a better chance at getting into the Colress. But unfortunately, I think we kind of have to take the Comfey in that situation. Since if we didn't hit Colress, we would have been in an incredibly bad state. Now we're just not in a great one, but like we're still 3 cards deep, which means we only need 1 more Comfey. Then we can start utilizing Cramorant, so we should be fine, all in all told. Also, getting down in prize cards a little early is not the biggest deal in the world for us, since we will have the option to go Ursaluna and things like that. And plus, giving up like a couple prize cards early doesn't really matter to us. So we can go Comfey here. We get access to the Prime Catcher, not that we'd really need it right this second. We get 2 Lost Vacuums, neither of these very relevant to us. So from here, just gonna go Switch Cart, go Cram, and Spit. Just placing enough damage down that right now, without a Stadium, they can't Calamity Storm us, and if they decide to go Gouging Frenzy to knock out the Cram, they will KO themselves. This build doesn't play not Earthen Vessel. I was looking at the card. It doesn't play Booster Energy Capsule, so I'm not really worried about that. It could go for the retreat to bring in Roaring Moon, but I'm also not really too worried about that. They lose that on a boss, and okay, so they're not even playing the Darkrai build, I don't think. I think they're just playing Ancient Box in general, with just having Roaring Moon EXs in it. Yeah, so they do have the Ancient Booster Capsules. I mean, that actually works out for us. They do have the Stadium to go Calamity Storm, which makes it a little more annoying. But we can bring Comfey back in. There's an Iron Hands, not very important. I hate to give up the Ursaluna, but I think I'm going to have to. Because if I can hands this down, that would be super ideal. So what I'll do is concealed cards here. We're getting ourselves a lot of pieces, but not what I actually want. So we're going to attach. We'll retreat. We will flower selecting again. Alright. So we finally got into Colress. That's pretty important, since after Colress, we'll be able to get the Mirage Gates off. Unfortunately, we're looking a bit grim on Switch cards, but we were able to find 2 and a new Colress for later, so that's pretty huge. What we're going to be able to do here is go Super Odd. We'll put the Cram back. and we'll do 1 water and 1 psychic energy. We want Cram so that way we can pick up KOs later on, but more importantly right now, we just want to be able to go Mirage Gate onto the Iron Hands. We'll do another... Gotta make sure we have the electric energy. Don't want to make the mistake there. Though I guess technically we only need 1, but it's not that big a deal. So we can go Switch Cart, bring this in, and then we can hold off using the Nest Ball for right now. We'll go Amp you very much. Get the KO. Take 3 prizes. Very nice. I want to be able to save the Prime Catcher, since what I can do is at a later point in the game I can potentially get damage down onto this Mew and go for a amp onto this, or in a situation where what could end up happening is they bring in Roaring Moon again. Even with Calamity Storm, they're not going to be able to KO the Iron Hands, so they're going to have to go Frenzied Gouging. Though, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 180, so they're still short on KOing me here. So if they go Frenzied Gouging, that's totally fine, because we can Nest Ball back out the Cramorant, which that appears to be the play they're going for. So they'll take 2, we'll take 2, be down to 1, and then all I need to do is knock out any of the Roaring Moons, which I can do by either looping Cramorant again, or just going Sableye. Interesting they went the booster energy capsule onto that, not onto the active. So we lose out on a bunch of energy there, but we do still have Mirage Gate as an option, and we can always Super Rod the energies back in. So we will Nest Ball, bring the Cramorant out just so that way we have it. Flower selecting here. Grab ourselves the Psychic Energy, since I don't think we get anything off the Heavy Ball, if I remember correctly. It'd be really nice if we had our Ursaluna out, but unfortunately we already kind of lost access to that. What we can do from here is we'll go Colress, grab ourselves a Switch and double Super Rod. Since what we can do from here is we don't want to give up, we don't want to put another EX on our board, obviously, like we don't want to give up the prizes, but we can throw down the energy onto our Sableye, and we have the option that if we weaken things enough, we can always go Mirage Gate onto the Radiant Greninja. So we'll go double water and a Psychic for now. If I could get into one more Mirage Gate, we could make a play in order to get the... We could make a play to get into Iron Hands, double Mirage Gate to it, and get the KO. But that's just not really going to happen for us this turn. Which would be super sick, but it's just not really going to work out that way. At least probably not. So we'll spit. Get the KO. We'll do 2 prize cards. The other option that we do have, though, in order to get a KO onto any of, like, either of these, is the same play that I talked about, being able to Mirage Gate onto the Iron Hands. What we can do is Super Rod, put Iron Hands back into the deck and an Electric Energy. And then from there, what we can do is Nest Ball out Iron Hands, Mirage Gate 2 energies to it, and throw the Electric Energy from our hand onto that. So that way we have the ability to just go for the Arm Press for 160 and take a KO on whatever we want. Obviously, Amp You Very Much is a fantastic attack since it gives you the extra prize card, but it's important not to forget the fact that it can do more damage in important moments. So they're going to come in, knock out Cramorant, go down to 1 prize. And as long as we don't get hit by like a Roxanne or something here, which they can't even do if they wanted to, we're totally fine. And we have 2 Switch cards in our hand, so we could go Comfey here and just like switch, which is what we'll do because why not? So we'll go Super Rod, put this back in with 2 energies. Then what we can do is Nest Ball, bring it back out. That's one of those fun things about this deck. You play so many Super Rods and like so many Nest Balls and stuff like that that you can kind of just loop whatever gets KO'd. So then I can go Mirage Gate, grab an Electric Energy, and we'll grab a Water. And the deck's so versatile. And then from here, we'll throw the Electric Energy down. We'll Flower Selecting, because if I was able to find like another Mirage Gate or something, that would just be kind of cool. But what we'll do is just Prime Catcher, bring this into the active. We can Lost Vacuum this away if we wanted to, but there's really no point. And we'll Arm Press for the final prize card. So that's going to be game number 2. Kind of closing it out pretty easily, though it looked a lot closer than it would have been. Had we found another Mirage Gate, that would have been a lot faster, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's going to be game number 2, and I'm actually going to close the video there. I normally do 3 games, but I'm only going to do 2 just because of the nature of Lost Zone and how much you have to do. The games kind of take a long time, and so I don't want this video being too long. So I think both of these games independently are like 20 minutes apiece, or somewhere in that range. So I don't want it to be too long. But if you have any questions about the deck or anything like that, or you want to see the deck again in the future or something like that, just let me know in the comments, and I can always answer any questions that you have or anything like that. But yeah, if you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate it. The channel's been growing at a phenomenal rate, and I really appreciate all the support. Be sure to join the community Discord if you're interested. We play games on there. We, just have general deck discussions, all that kind of stuff. And be sure to join the community Discord tournament that is on Saturday at 6:30. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that stuff, be sure to, find that all in the video description down below. If there's a deck you want to see up next or anything like that, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And be on the lookout for a announcement video kind of coming sometime this week about how we're going to celebrate the 1,000 subscriber, like hitting the 1,000 subscriber benchmark that we were able to do recently. So yeah, that's going to be it, guys. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much. Peace.